I'm going to go all rock and roll for our next guest. I want to see him go wuss.
Bang your head, baby.
He's a
Bang
good
your head.
man. Next guest used to be the lead singer for Slipknot. Big time band, big time. What would you call? Well, first of all, Corey Taylor's here. Thanks, Corey.
Thank you for having me.
Being. He wrote a book. He's selling a book, which I'm used to. I know the drill. He's on a book tour. Book is Corey Taylor. There it is. Great cover, by the way, man.
Thank you.
I love that. A funny thing happened on the way to heaven, or how I made peace with the paranormal and stigmatized zealots and cynics in the process. Okay, now first of all, Slipknot. You get involved with them in '97. They'd been a band for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Huge success for that kind. What would you call that? Like death metal? What is Slipknot?
It's kind of an amalgam. It's like a little bit of death metal, a little bit of new metal at the time. We just always kind of considered ourselves a heavy metal band.
And you always wore those crazy masks.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was part of
yeah.
the deal.
Yeah.
Like you sort of a modern day Kiss.
Kind of, yeah. A little bit of Kiss.
Great
a little bit of
gimmick
Alice
thing.
Cooper.
Great,
With a lot of violence. So.
And the only way that works is like you mentioned Kiss and Alex Cooper. It's not all the gimmick. It's like you guys were talented and you got something to say.
And Alice Cooper said it best. You got the songs, you're not going to stick around very long.
Right, and you know what's funny? Exactly. And no matter what generation you're from, people appreciate if you're talented and you have a gimmick to sell it.
Yeah.
It's fine. Alice Cooper was on one of my favorite shows. Maybe you've done the show. My buddy Jimmy Florentine. That metal show.
Yeah, absolutely.
That metal show. I saw him on there, and Alice Cooper said that when he was real young, he was in Vegas and did a gig that Elvis Presley was at.
Oh, yeah.
And so Elvis Presley invited him up to a suite, and he goes, it was just Elvis Presley. He had a .38 pistol and just some booze, and he had a snake, a big snake.
Yeah.
No. Elvis didn't have a snake. He had a gun.
Yeah.
And he said to Alice Cooper, he goes, and you think he'd be a 50s funny duddy. He goes, hey, man, you're the kid with the snake thing and stuff. I love that, man. Great gimmick, man. That sells it. That sells it. That really sells it, man. Good for you, buddy. He got it. He got the deal.
Totally.
And so how long were you with them? 97 to when?
I'm still with them. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So basically,
I've been with them since '97. Did the first official album and everything after that, and we're going to be working on a new album next year.
Have you been on a break for a while from the?
A little bit, yeah. I
mean,
we lost our bass player about 3 years ago, and
what happened? You passed away.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, it was complications from various chemicals, things like that. Yeah.
And again, I'm no stranger to that.
It just kind of wore him down. You know?
That,
me
man.
and you both. I went through my struggles with it and everything, but
I don't know, how open you want to be with it or anything, but I struggled early on with blow, but with heroin is what got me, and I almost died, and it was from being on the road.
Yeah.
And I wish I could go back. I was in a hotel room in a city I won't mention because I'll give away maybe where I got it. I don't want to mess with the guy, but I was in a hotel room, and the first time I ever did it, and God, I remember my head hitting the pillow, and I knew my personality, and I said, I'm in trouble, and I chased it for another 5 years, and again, I crashed and burned, I almost died, and thank God I lived through it, had amazing people around me, but I went through a thing where I got better, and we're two guys that, have some people around us who can help us. Without the support system I had, and maybe what I did for a living, it sounds shallow. I was someone who made people money, and and there was a lot of love too from my family. But without them, I'd have been in the gutter, dead in jail.
Yeah.
I mean, do you feel the same way?
Oh,
about
absolutely.
It? Or dead like your friend, like your bass player.
Yeah, it was probably the worst thing that we'd ever gone through.
That's horrible, man.
And but we've been able to kind of pull it together as a band. And we've been doing some shows here and there, and we just kind of been holding off the talk about doing a new album.
Right.
And but now, just in the last few months, last year, it's starting to feel like it's time. Because Paul was like a huge writer with us.
Oh, no kidding.
He was like the secret sauce, basically.
Was it hard to replace him?
No, we brought in a guy who was in the band actually before I was. He was a guitar player, good friend, Donnie Steele.
Right.
And he's been kind of helping us get through it. He plays backstage, he doesn't go on stage, he doesn't have his own mask or anything like that.
Right.
But because it's part of the family.
Kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So he's been really great about it, and he's helped us kind of pull it together, So next year we're gonna start, throwing some new music at each other and see what happens.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, thanks.
With your bandmate passing, have you found that it has brought you guys closer together? Because at times it can pull people apart.
It did, it kind of did for a little bit, because we were all so gnarly about it. We were all grieving about it in our own ways, and then. We did the first tour without him, which was back in 2011. We did these Sonosphere shows in Europe, and it was really hard at first to kind of figure out where our place was. And
I felt weird without him.
Yeah. So, but the more we kept doing it, the more the fans actually really kind of picked us up, and there was so much positivity and just so much, it really made us turn around and go, this is not a funeral. This is a celebration of what Paul helped us make, and that's shooting it from that kind of prism. That's what really kind of got us back up on our feet.
You gotta find an angle.
Yeah.
You gotta find an angle to go at it with. And that's where I found that everybody's different. That the AA helped me. They helped me find an angle on how to attack it. And to do that with just you is hard enough. But as a group, as a band, to get everybody on the same level. Okay, we all figured out our way to deal with this. That's hard. So much luck, man.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
I'm proud of you guys. It's hard to do. So you're gonna go. What's the longest tour did you ever do? Like, because that's
good.
Now I know the road is what killed me with Relapse and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the longest you ever had on the road with those guys?
Oh man.
Like a solid year and a half.
Well, yeah. I mean, we'd have twos and fews here and there, like little time off, and whatnot. But the longest we were on the road was close to 2 years.
Right.
And that was on the Volume 3. Soup to Nuts. We were working on Volume 3 from the middle of 2003 until the very end of 2005. We recorded the album and then we went out on the road.
Wow.
And it was gnarly, but it was worth it, because what we were doing, we were rebuilding a lot of bridges. We'd had bad management before that. Got our current manager who really kind of helped us mend a lot of things and basically paint over a lot of cracks that we didn't even realize were going on at the time.
I just saw a documentary about Ginger Baker, the drummer for Cream.
Yeah.
And they, as a band, were only together for 2 years. They did a few albums, toured, and they made all that great music in 2 years. And they cut to Lars Ulrich, the drummer for Metallica.
Yeah.
And he goes, that's insane. He goes, our last tour was longer. Our last tour was 2 years and 2 months. He said, Sam Kinison would have said I had parties that lasted longer than 2 years.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So it's amazing. It's 2 years, not a lot of time, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just such a different culture these days. I mean, I remember seeing stuff about Kiss, where it was a tour and an album every year.
Right.
Sometimes two albums every
Unreal.
year.
Comedy
and you're
World's
just
the
like,
same way.
who could get away with that these days?
Right.
The Comedy World's the same way. George Carlin wrote a new hour every year and a half.
And then he would tour it relentlessly and get the timing down and everything.
Hour, I mean, if any comic will tell you the first 10 minutes is hard to write.
Yeah.
This guy was on another level.
Totally.
Bill Cosby's in that same league.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I mean, let's talk about the book a little bit.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
I mentioned to you a little bit earlier when we first, before we started and we were off camera.
Yeah, that place in Boston.
The place in Boston. I had a 4-story townhouse, and I absolutely, let's put it this way, I'm the only one who paid rent, but there was a lot of other people living with me in there.
Okay. I've been in those situations.
Sounds like you're a friend who made it big and you had some other...
No, these were ghosts.
Oh, ghosts?
These were ghosts,
You got to pay for them, too?
Yeah, and I mean, you talk about, in your book, about paranormal activity. Talk to me about some of your experiences, because for me, it wasn't to the point where I ever was fearful.
Yeah.
I knew that they were there.
Yeah.
I knew what they were doing and what they were up to, but I never felt like I was in danger. Talk to me about some of your experiences.
It's almost like little kids trying to get attention in a lot of
that's a good
circumstances.
way of saying it.
I've just had a lot of stuff happen to me over the years in places I've lived, places I've stayed, places I've worked, and my current house, there are some spirits who I think followed me from the house that I lived in before that.
That's crazy.
I mean, it's crazy, dude.
But you said you're not scared. You said you're not scared.
Yeah. Exactly, right? It's like, how does that work?
They probably Googled you. They got GPS.
Totally.
They had Ghost PS. But you said you weren't scared. Listen, you're a better man than me.
I wasn't, because...
I would be scared to death. What do you mean you knew they were there? I'm like, what am I...
Artie, I knew they were there all the time,
guess
every
what?
day.
I'm
And I
outta
lived
here.
there for 3 years. I lived
They
there
start
for
following you like, hey, my God.
That's different though. Did they
Yeah.
jump on the Mayflower moving truck
Well,
with
you
you?
think? I mean, two guys and a ghost. You know, just kind of pulling in my driveway.
Sounds like a
I'm
sitcom.
Wait, I didn't. This is not with the sofa. This is
It
somebody
sounds,
else's
unbelievable.
it sounds like a sitcom.
And
Corey
you-
Taylor.
And you talk about also like on the road, like when you're at a hotel, like that's different too.
That would,
because-
yeah. I mean, that would be gnarly.
sounds
No, I
exciting.
mean, they kind of situated themselves in my new house, and they trust me. It's just like you. They let me know they're there all the time.
Make
Like, I'll
yourselves
be-
at home, jerk off.
Yeah, 7 in the morning. I'm making breakfast and lunch for my son, getting ready because I take him to school.
Oh, you got to get a ghost who's a morning ghost?
Yeah, right, exactly. And I'll be standing there, kind of putting everything together. From behind me, like a thermos flies across the kitchen. Like it's
They're
not
violent. That's ridiculous.
And not only is it loud, but I haven't had any coffee. Like I don't
Right,
need
you
that.
didn't touch
I don't
that.
need that right out of the
That's
gate.
Oh, well, listen,
So
we're
it's
gonna.
gnarly.
This is fascinating because I want to share a little bit about some stuff I had happen. I just, said not it's a coincidence, but maybe you could enlighten me a little bit. We'll talk more about that. Again, the book is Corey Taylor. Funny thing happened to me on the way to heaven, and Slipknot come back, more music and stuff like that. And I will be talking more to him right when we come back on the Artie Lange Show.